Are you planning a trip to Disneyland California? Well, perhaps it's your first time ever going, or maybe you're a seasoned pro. Well, today I'm going to be answering your questions all about my trip to Disneyland California. So without further ado, let's go. Hello everybody and welcome to this Disneyland Q&A video. I'm very excited to go and do this. If you haven't seen my face before, then a big hello from me. My name is Sam and I post lots of Disney, theatre, travel and lifestyle content. And today I'm actually going to be answering your questions that you sent about Disneyland in California. Now, me and my family went to Disneyland in California during October 2024. And I've got to say, we had the most amazing time. I actually went and vlogged all of it for you. So definitely go and check out my vlog series for Disneyland in California, because it was our first time, it was my first reactions to everything, and honestly, like, I just had the most magical time there, and I feel like I learned so much. I feel like I'm quite a pro now when it comes to Walt Disney World and Disneyland Paris, and then going to California, it was completely eye-opening for me. I feel like if you go to Disneyland, it's so different to the other parks. It's such a different vibe, and I think that kind of like come across in the vlog, so definitely go and check them out. But I actually went and asked you to go and send me some questions on Instagram, so thank you to all of you who went and sent a question. I honestly had so many questions to go and work through, but I've actually gone and just picked 15 questions that I've kind of like tried to merge as many questions as I can together, but 15 questions that I think are the ones that got asked the most. So thank you so much if you went and spent the time. Definitely go if you haven't already and follow me over on Instagram, because I'll be going and doing some more like of these Q&A videos as well. But let's go and crack on with these Disneyland Q&A questions. I'm very excited to go and talk all things Disneyland because I absolutely love Disneyland so much. I've honestly found this new love for it. So let's go and talk all about Disneyland. Okay, so the very first question that I got asked quite a lot actually was, what is the best way of getting from LAX to Disneyland? And I feel like that's a really good question, because actually at first it seemed quite confusing because LAX is such a big airport, but I have to say the transportation that they provide when you're there is amazing. So once you get off your plane, you basically go through passport control, you go through baggage reclaim, that kind of thing, and then after that it's time for you to go and get your transfer over to Anaheim for Disneyland. So there's a few different ways that you can go and do it, but the way that I think worked best was to go and get either an Uber or a Lyft. And it's actually really simple to do, but it's not a case of you just go out the airport and then you order an Uber. So basically what happens is when you leave the airport, you have to go and look for a green podium, which is like outside, and it will say LAX it, and it will have all the rideshare services on there. So it's quite easy, just look for the big green podium, literally walk towards that. And then once you're there, you actually go and get a sort of like a shuttle bus kind of thing that will take you to the LAX it area. It's probably like maybe like a 5-6 minute drive on the bus. It's very crowded, like there's lots of people on there with their luggage and that kind of thing, so just expect there to be crowds, but we managed to go and get on the LAX it bus straight away. It's a free service, and then it takes you to this kind of like big, like open space. It's like a big open car park. On one side you've got Uber and on one side you've got Lyft. We looked at both prices when we got there, and we found that Lyft was slightly cheaper, but that does change. So we went and ordered our Lyft at that point. So what I would say is don't go and order your Lyft or Uber until you're actually at that LAX it car park area, because otherwise, you know, you don't know how long you're gonna be waiting for the bus and that kind of thing. But actually it was pretty simple, and then literally, yeah, we just booked our Lyft, and from there it took about, I'd say about an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half to get to our hotel in Anaheim. What I noticed was LA traffic is so real. Like literally, we was in traffic pretty much from the airport all the way to Anaheim. It just literally didn't move. And obviously you do pay quite a lot of money because of that. But for me, I think there's nothing better than just using an Uber or a Lyft when you get there. It's really trustworthy. And I've just got to say that I just love using them rideshare services, and it just worked perfectly for us in LA. Right, the next question was, what's the best time of year to visit Disneyland in California? Now, we went and visited at the end of October, and I honestly loved it. The weather was so perfect. Like, yes, it was quite hot at parts of the day. It isn't the same as it is in Florida. Like, it was a bearable heat. It was so nice. There was a breeze. The night times got quite chilly, but I actually didn't think that the crowds were too bad either in October. Like, I would definitely go and visit in October again. I love that it was still like all the Halloween season. Do you know what? Disneyland California Halloween decorations are so good. So I feel like it's definitely the time of year to visit if you want all that kind of, all the pumpkins everywhere. Like, I feel like they just done it so well in both parks, in California Adventure and Disneyland Park. They had beautiful decorations. I loved that. It was also a great time to go to the Oogie Boogie Bash. That was amazing. So I actually really liked October. I actually can't go and compare it to anything else because I've only ever visited in October. But from what I kind of know, I think August, like July and August, it can be really, really hot during that time. And then February, I think, is their more like rainy season, but also it's very, very low crowds during that time. So you've kind of got to like weigh it up. But for me, I would love to go and visit in October again. Even like looking now, I've been looking at Christmas for next year. The crowds aren't actually that big for Christmas in comparison to Walt Disney World. Like when I compare, like for example, Space Mountain in Walt Disney World is getting like a 2-hour queue regularly, and then in California it's kind of getting like a 70-minute wait. So it definitely doesn't seem as crowded, and that's one of the big things I noticed about Disneyland in California. But in terms of like best month to visit, I can't really compare, but I'd say October was a lovely time, and I'd highly recommend going in October because I literally loved it so much. This question I got asked so much. How many days do you recommend for a Disneyland trip? So at Disneyland there are 2 parks. You've got Disneyland Park and you've got California Adventure Park. I actually beforehand read that you kind of just need 1 day in each park, but I completely do not believe that. We had pretty much 2 full days in each park, and we still didn't really manage to get everything done that we wanted to. So I found that the parks were a lot bigger than I expected. There were so many rides, so many attractions. They're just, you know, they're just bigger parks in general, and I just found that there was just so much to do. So I would say really minimum is 5 days. You need like a 5-day pass so that you can try and get as much done. But I feel like with Disneyland, there's just so much to see, there's so much to do, and you're probably not going to go and get every single thing done, and you've just got to go knowing that. Like, don't set your expectations too high because you'll just leave disappointed. I would say definitely 5 days, but even like I reckon I could spend a week there and not be bored because there was still so much to do. Like literally, it's incredible just how many attractions there are. There was just so much to see, so much to do, and obviously like for me it was all new things as well. Like there was new attractions that I've never done before, like the Indiana Jones attraction. Like I've never done that before, so it was like spending time doing them sort of attractions, and especially like if you want to do re-rides you need more time as well. But I'd say minimum 5 days for sure. Right, this question was, where did you buy your Disneyland tickets and what tickets did you pick? Is Park Hopper worth it? So we actually went and bought our tickets in advance using a company called Attraction Tickets. We absolutely love Attraction Tickets. We've used them before, whether it's for Florida trips, other city breaks. Like Attraction Tickets is a company that I fully trust 100%. We always get a great service with them. So that's why we decided to go with Attraction Tickets. Now we actually got the 5-day Park Hopper ticket, which means that we had 5 consecutive days that we could go and use the parks, and we could actually go and park hop. What's happening with Disneyland is you still have to go and reserve your parks. You need to make a park pass reservation for one park. So for example, on the first day we picked Disneyland for our park that we wanted to go to. We actually stayed at Disneyland for the whole day that day, but actually what we could do is from 11 AM we could then go and scan into California Adventure. So from 11 o'clock you can actually go and swap the park that you're in. That's really, really good. I love that you can go and do that. But actually for us, even though we had the Park Hopper ticket, I don't think we ever actually utilised park hopping. We always just stuck with that one park we was in. So actually, if I went again, I don't know if I'd actually pick Park Hopper because we just didn't really feel the need to go and park hop, really. I think it might be in the last day. We literally just went and popped into California Adventure to go into the shop, but that was it. It all kind of depends what you want for you and your family, I think, whether you want to go and park hop or not. I think sometimes it was just nice just being in that park knowing we've got the whole day to conquer that park. I think the longer you are there for, the less you need to go and park hop, if that makes sense, because if we only had a 2-day ticket, then I'd probably want to go and park hop so I'm getting on all of the major rides that I want to and can possibly do. So yeah, I'd say it's not really worth it necessarily, but Attraction Tickets, great company for it. I would definitely go and get my tickets for Disneyland there all the time because they're just a really, really good company. You get your tickets like instantly, like online, and you can connect them to the Disneyland app. Is literally perfection. Question number 5 was, would you ever want to stay at a Disneyland hotel? Now, this is such a good question because we actually stayed off-site. We actually stayed in the Hyatt Regency Orange County Hotel, and let me just tell you, it was the most perfect hotel. I loved staying at the Hyatt Regency. It was walking distance to Disneyland, but we actually used the shuttle bus service that they had. They actually had a shuttle bus which went, it was 2 times an hour. I think it was 1/4 and 1/4 the hour. And honestly, the bus service was so good. You did have to pay for the bus service, but really it was so reliable. You knew 1/4 the hour and 1/4 the hour, the bus would be there. So I honestly think that the bus service and the hotel was amazing. I love that the hotel felt Disney-fied as well. There was like Disney wall art, and the carpet had like Mickey heads on it, and there was like a Mickey Mouse statue in the like reception area in the lobby. So things like that made it feel like we were staying at a Disneyland hotel, even though it wasn't. For California, I don't think you actually need to go and stay on site at Disney because there's so many good partner hotels in the local area, like, and they are walking distance, or they provide a bus service to Disneyland. So I don't feel the need to go and stay at a Disneyland hotel. However, would I like to go and stay at a Disneyland hotel? Yes, I definitely would. I think they are beautiful, beautiful hotels. I love staying on site anyway. I think staying on site always feels so special. I always do it at Walt Disney World because it just adds that extra bit of magic. So I love staying on site. The Disneyland hotels were very, very expensive. And actually on this trip, we didn't even go and like look inside any of the hotels, but you know, I know that they're going to be beautiful, beautiful hotels. They're just very, very pricey for what they are. And actually, you don't really get many perks for it. They do have early entry. I think one park has early entry, like 30 minutes early entry a day. But for me, really the perk of staying at a Disney hotel at Disneyland, there's not really any perk to it. But I'd definitely like to one day just say that I've stayed at Disneyland hotel. Would be great. Right, question number 6. This definitely is making me feel very hungry right now. It is, what is the best food at Disneyland? And do you know, Disney food just hits differently. I loved being able to go and eat a variety of food at Disneyland. There's so much that I can say was great. Disneyland really does have some really good food. But for me, in terms of like restaurants, we really, really liked going to Cafe Orleans for the Monte Cristo sandwich. That to me is an absolute must. It was one of them that I knew that I wanted to go because obviously the Monte Cristo sandwich is just so famous. So I just knew that I had to go over there. But do you know what? It exceeded my expectations. That was like the most beautiful meal ever. I love the Monte Cristo sandwich for lunch. The French fries were really good. The service and like even just like sitting outside and kind of like watching people walk by. It was just so nice to just people watch and chill and relax, and it was just an amazing restaurant. So if it was me, that's one that I definitely would like to go and book. I also really like Tiana's Palace, especially for the gumbo and the beignets. That was a really nice restaurant, also in the New Orleans Square area, but that was a really, really good meal. Definitely one that I just loved so much. And then in terms of like breakfasty things that I really liked the breakfast chimichanga, which you was able to get just outside Big Thunder Mountain. That was literally chef's kiss. It was honestly perfection. I love that breakfast so much. They also had a burrito one over in Tomorrowland, which was also really good. But actually, we had a good variety of food over in Disneyland. Obviously you can get snacks as well, like things like Dole Whip, like all your classics, but I'd say definitely for like restaurants, Cafe Orleans and Tiana's Palace were my 2 favourites. But what's great about Disneyland is that you were literally across the road from so many other good restaurants. So if you don't want to go and eat in the Disney bubble, you actually can go literally across the road, and there was like a Denny's, there was an IHOP that we ate at, Cheesecake Factory is like a 15-20 minute walk, there's a Blaze Pizza down the road. Like, literally there is so much. One thing that I didn't rate that highly, but it was still quite a nice restaurant to go to, was Black Tap Craft Burger over in downtown Disney. It was still a really nice meal. I just didn't rate it that highly, but yeah, I think they were my absolute favourites. Right, question number 7 is another food one. When can you book dining reservations, and where do you want to eat next time? So you can go and book your dining reservations 60 days in advance, just like at Walt Disney World. You can do that by either phoning them up directly, or you can go and do it via the app when your 60 days window opens. It's 1 day at a time that opens. But we actually went and booked our dining reservations for Cafe Orleans quite late, I think. I think it was maybe like 20-30 days before, because we actually originally was like, oh, we're not going to eat at sit-down restaurants, we're going to go and just get quick service meals, and we just thought, oh no, we need to go and get a Monte Cristo sandwich. So it was quite bad planning on our part, but yeah, we went, and the Disney dining reservations 60 days in advance, which is really great. Where would I want to go and eat next time? I think there's just two places that I'd like to go and eat. First of all, I'd like to try more of the quick service places, because I feel like quick service places are so underrated. So I would like to try and do that. Like Jolly Holiday, I never got to eat at. But in terms of like table service restaurants that I'd like to go and book next time, definitely the Blue Bayou restaurant, which is the Pirates of the Caribbean one. I've never done that at any of the Disney parks, and I just feel like it's such a nice sort of setting to go and sit and eat. The problem is that I feel like a lot of them restaurants are very seafoody, and I'm not a seafood kind of guy, so I don't really like the menu on a lot of them. But I feel like if I had the choice of either Captain Jack's at Disneyland Paris or the Blue Bayou restaurant at California, I'd pick the one in California, just to see the classic Pirates of the Caribbean go by. It would literally be so great. Another thing that I'd really like to go and book for next time, but we didn't do it this time because of just bad planning on my part, is Trader Sam's. Now, I've been wanting to go and do Trader Sam's for the longest time, and I feel like it's so hard to go to Trader Sam's at Walt Disney World without there being such a long queue, and obviously you've got to go and make your way all the way over to the Polynesian, and it's just quite stressful. Whereas at Disneyland, in an ideal world, it's actually a really, really easy bar to get to because it's just in the Disneyland Hotel. So it's not like you've got to trek really far to go there. But I actually didn't go and book it 60 days in advance, and it's one that you have to go and book 60 days in advance. So I do wish that I went and done that, because Trader Sam's is one that's been on my list for the longest time, and I still haven't done it. So I really need to go and try it this year to get a Trader Sam's in, because I just love the idea of being in Trader Sam's, and I've heard such great things. Right, question number 8. I had a long time thinking about this one. Are any versions of the rides better than at Walt Disney World? There are so many rides at Disneyland. And in terms of ones that are at Walt Disney World as well, I think most of them are better at Disneyland, if I'm completely honest. I think Pirates of the Caribbean, I really, really loved at Disneyland. Obviously, it's the classic Pirates of the Caribbean, but I loved how long that attraction was. It went on for like almost 20 minutes, and the scenes in there were just beautiful. The smells were great as always. I feel like at Walt Disney World, it's just over too quickly. And yes, you have like the main scenes in it, but I love at Disneyland, you had lots of like filler scenes in there too, and I just loved every single part of Pirates of the Caribbean. So that was incredible. I loved that ride. Space Mountain, by far so much better than at Walt Disney World. I've actually come to terms with that I actually hate Space Mountain at Walt Disney World. I just hate how uncomfortable it is, but actually at Disneyland it was such a smooth ride, so that was great. I'd say that Big Thunder Mountain was like on the same level. I wouldn't say one was better than the other. The best Big Thunder Mountain ever is at Paris, obviously, so yeah, I'd say at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, Big Thunder Mountain were kind of the same. Mission Breakout at California Adventure, I was so skeptical about it. I was so scared about going onto that ride, because Tower of Terror, if you know me, it's one of my favourite rides of all time. So actually, the fact that we went on to Mission Breakout and I was just like, this is not going to be the same, but actually it exceeded my expectations. I prefer the whole theme of Tower of Terror, I loved that, but the drop sequence that was on Mission Breakout was literally insane. Like, I've never like flown out of my seat so much, that stomach drop feeling, it was honestly incredible. And also I really want to go and mention Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, that attraction at Disneyland Park in Adventureland, honestly the most beautiful, beautiful attraction ever. Like, after riding that attraction in California, Dinosaur, you can go now. I'm waving goodbye to you, because that was honestly the most stunning, spectacular attraction, when there was like the fire blasts, and it was just amazing. The theme in there was so great. I was literally like screaming the whole way around. It was honestly amazing. So the rides at Disneyland, I think a lot of them were actually better, and I wasn't expecting that, considering I feel like a lot of the classic rides are obviously a lot older, but even things like Autopia was so much better than Tomorrowland Speedway. So yeah, just in general, I think Disneyland really did have the edge when it comes to better attractions. Right, next one is Disneyland or Disney California Adventure. That is like the hardest question to answer. They're both very, very different. Disneyland is obviously the classic castle park, and obviously it has a little tiny castle, but I think for me, being at Disneyland, actually at Disneyland Park, was so nice because as I was walking around the park, I kept thinking, do you know what, like Walt stood here? It was so nostalgic, and that's what I love about the Disneyland Park at Disneyland. Disney's California Adventure was a great park. They had really, really great rides. The theming in that park was beautiful. Like, I literally love walking around Pixar Pier, Radiator Springs. Like, I feel like the rides have the edge at California Adventure. It was literally a stunning park. But for me, nothing will beat walking down Main Street USA at really any of the like Disney resorts. Like, I feel like it's the same at Walt Disney World. Like, Magic Kingdom has my heart because nothing quite beats that walking down Main Street and hearing the music and smelling the smells and the sounds and just everything about Magic Kingdom parks are just so great. So Disneyland Park had the edge for me just because I kept thinking, you know, that Walt stood here, or, you know, that's Walt's office above the fire station. All of it just felt so real and nothing quite beats that. So that's why, for me, Disneyland Park definitely has the edge. Right, question number 10, we're in double digits. How do you deal with the long queues? Now, actually, I've got to say, Disneyland really didn't have that many queues that were really long, I don't think. Like, I don't think we waited any more than like 30, 40 minutes at any point. I don't remember waiting anyway. I found a lot of the time the queues were very overestimated. So there was times when, like for example, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, I think it said it was like a 40-minute wait and we ended up only waiting like 20. So they did definitely like inflate the queue times quite a lot. But for us, we go to Disney parks and theme parks quite a lot, so we are quite used to the whole queuing process. And for me, Disney queues are the best queues to queue in because they never feel too long. There's always so much to see and so much to do, and that's what's the great thing about Disneyland queues. We were so lucky, like even things like Rise of the Resistance, we managed to literally walk on that attraction because it had been closed all day, and it was just pure luck that we was there when the attraction opened again for the day, and we was literally like one of the first people on. So queues aren't really a huge problem, but if you do find yourself going and waiting in longer queues, definitely what I would do is go and download apps on your phone, things like Heads Up and things like that. They're really, really good apps and they just keep you entertained in the queue. Definitely bring like quizzes, snacks definitely for the queues as well. Like what I normally sometimes would go and do is if I go to like the confectionery, I'll go and get like a snack for the queue and then put it into like a Ziploc bag ready for like the long queuing experience. But definitely it's about you going and really planning your day well, because if you go and, like, for example, Rise of Resistance is one of them attractions that always gets a longer queue, I would definitely go and try and get that done as early as possible when the queue is going to be lowest. So then popular attractions, try and get it done definitely in the first like hour or two of the day. Like Peter Pan's Flight, that's another one. Definitely, if you want to go and do that, if that's important for you, just get it done as early in your day as possible, and then later on you can go and do the, I guess, like less busy attractions. It's all about timing, that's really the main thing. But we didn't really queue long for anything. Even like Incredicoaster, I expected that to be a really long queue, and I think the longest we waited for it was like 25 minutes. Like the year that we visited, I expected it to be a lot busier with it being Halloween, but it really wasn't that crowded at all. What do you pack in your bag every day at Disneyland? So I take my absolutely huge rucksack, and I probably am a bit of an overpacker, but things like I feel like I have to go and take to a day at Disneyland would have to be my sunglasses. My sunglasses are so important. I love taking my sunglasses, especially on them like really bright days. California was literally bright all throughout the day, so definitely go and bring your sunglasses. I always take a poncho just in case it's going to rain. Again, you don't really need that in California as much as Walt Disney World, but it does still rain sometimes, so poncho's always in my bag. I always take a change of shoes, so normally I will go and wear trainers, but then in my park bag I'll pack flip-flops. That definitely goes and helps. Obviously things like wallet. Sometimes I go and take different ears, so depending on the park that I'm in, and I kind of like try to plan pictures and things like that. So for example, I might take my Avengers Mickey ears and I'll take them because I'm going to Avengers Campus. So I might just swap my ears out depending on where I am thinking of pictures and that kind of thing, if that's important for you. yeah, I'd say they're like the main things. Always like sun cream. Oh, for Disneyland, 100% bring a hoodie, because the temperature drops so much in the evening. Like once it got to like 5, 6 o'clock, like whenever the sun went down, that's when it did get quite chilly. Like waiting for World of Colour 1, that's when I really felt the cold at that point. And yeah, so I feel like early mornings and late evenings, they're definitely the coldest part. So definitely go and take a hoodie for that. But I'd say they're like the main things that you need to go and take in your Disney park bag. Right, number 12 is, what is the best place to stand for the fireworks? Now, I feel like we didn't really master this. The problem is when it comes to fireworks at Disneyland, first of all, any fireworks show is only on during the weekend. So it was, when we was there, it was Friday, Saturday and Sunday that there was fireworks on the castle. We saw the projection show for, I think it's called Halloween Screams, which was actually a really good show. It's one that I wasn't expecting anything majorly from, but it was so hard to get a space around the castle because it's obviously such a tiny castle and the Central Plaza area is so small as it is anyway. And I can only imagine how busy it would be when there's fireworks on that castle too. I feel like if you want a good space with the projections, you need to get there really early. I'd say like probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours early, just to be literally in front of the castle. That's literally your best bet at getting a view of the projections on the castle and the fireworks. But if you're not too fussed about it and you just kind of want to see the fireworks in the distance, anywhere down Main Street will probably be really good for you. And actually they sometimes have projections on the buildings at the side of Main Street. So again, if projections are what you're looking for and fireworks, sometimes being a bit further back on Main Street is good because you've got the projections on the Main Street buildings. You can kind of see maybe some projections on the little tiny castle, and then you'll see the fireworks as well. The same goes with fireworks for like for example the Fantasmic Nighttime Spectacular. Definitely go and get there early. Sometimes they do 2 showings a day, so sometimes it's better to actually go to the second showing. That's what we done. It was still super crowded, but basically if you can go and get a good space around the Rivers of America kind of area, then that's going to be like the best place for you. World of Colour, that was quite a good one because you could actually go and join a virtual queue. I think the virtual queue opened at 12 PM and that was great because then if you're successful at getting a virtual queue for it, that means that you can get one of the like front row spots. You're in like a splash zone area, but that was like the most perfect viewing for World of Colour, and actually it was really easy to go and get a virtual queue, so I definitely recommend going and doing that. I love this one. I love seeing your reaction to characters walking around. What was your favourite character meet? Now, I loved at Disneyland just how amazing it was that characters literally just walk around. They haven't even got a character attendant next to them, but you've got like Mickey Mouse just walking around, and then sometimes he has a little crowd around him, but he'll go and you'll see him walking around, he'll like interact with a few people, and then he'll just like stand in the street ready for photos. And for Mickey Mouse in particular, we literally saw him, followed him, and we was like the second family to go and have our picture with him. Like, it was literally insane. Compared to Walt Disney World, when you have to wait almost like an hour sometimes over an hour even, for characters, it was so great to just be able to go and enjoy Disneyland, but then see the characters just walking around, and it was just beautiful. My favourite character meet of this trip, I loved the rare characters. I loved meeting Nick Wilde. That was a really good interaction. I loved that. Again, he was just kind of walking around, stopped off at a zone, and then we managed to have a picture and quite a good chat. I really liked meeting Pocahontas too. I've never met Pocahontas before, but we actually had a real good chat, and normally I'm a bit scared of like the face-to-face interaction characters. I sometimes feel like they're a bit harder to talk to, but Pocahontas, we had a really great interaction and we spoke for ages. It was just after eating a churro as well. Disneyland churros are so good. So yeah, Pocahontas was probably my favourite, I'd say, of this trip, which was surprising because I didn't think I'd ever say that, but Pocahontas was a really good interaction. Next question is Oogie Boogie Bash worth the money? This is actually a really tough one because I actually did say this in the vlog for Oogie Boogie Bash. I would say yes, it is worth the money. I loved going to it. It's a very different event. I think I loved the trick-or-treat trails. I loved meeting Oogie Boogie himself. The parade was pretty decent. But the problem is, when you've gone to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and you see how much entertainment there is, it does feel like you're being ripped off slightly, because Oogie Boogie Bash is all about the trick-or-treat trails. The parade was good, but nothing compared to the Boo to You parade at Walt Disney World. And obviously there's no kind of like real big shows that happen. Like with Mickey's Not So Scary, you've got the fireworks show going on, you've got the Villain Spectacular show going on. Like there's so much to keep you entertained throughout the day. And I feel like at Oogie Boogie Bash there isn't really that. But we did go to Oogie Boogie Bash literally just before Halloween. So it felt very Halloween-y. I love the decorations. I love the atmosphere of the park during then. But I wouldn't personally say that I preferred it to Mickey's Not So Scary. So it was worth the money, but it's very expensive. And you do kind of feel like you're being ripped off slightly if you've been to Mickey's Not So Scary before. Right, and the final question that I've got is Disneyland or Walt Disney World? Guys, this is like the hardest question ever. I'm going to go and do a video soon comparing Disneyland and Walt Disney World, but I'll kind of give you a brief kind of answer for this. They're both very, very different. Disneyland is obviously a lot smaller, and I do like that in some respect. I like the fact that you can just walk between parks, and I feel like there was so much to offer at Disneyland. There's so many rides, so many attractions. I love how it just feels when you're at Disneyland, like that nostalgic feel will never ever grow old. I just, like I said before, I love the fact that when walking around Disneyland, you're thinking, Walt once stood here. So that was just so special. However, Walt Disney World has so many different experiences to offer. It's obviously huge, Walt Disney World. There's so much land that it's on, and sometimes you kind of forget how long it takes you to get from one place to the other. So that's one of, like, I guess the cons of Walt Disney World. But in a way, I love that. I love the fact that, you know, I'm at Animal Kingdom and then I've got to go and get like transportation to go to a complete different part, like to go to Magic Kingdom, and they're complete different worlds in themselves. So that's what I do like about Walt Disney World. I love the whole experience of Walt Disney World. I love being there and not leaving that bubble. Whereas at Disneyland, obviously we was there, we spent the day at Disneyland, and then we left the bubble when we kind of went out into Anaheim. So they're very, very different experiences. They have pros and cons on both sides. Walt Disney World does have my heart because it's what I knew first, I feel like, but I don't know. Disneyland is a very, very special place, and, you know, like, I feel like right now, I feel more desperate to go back to Disneyland than I do to Walt Disney World, because Disneyland just, I don't know, it feels really special. It feels really, really special. Whereas I think Disney World sometimes it's so popular, Disney World. So I don't know. It's a really hard question, but I'm actually going to go and do a video very, very soon talking about Disneyland versus Disney World and that kind of thing. But that's kind of my like very, very short, brief answer on that one. Thank you so much for sending me through your questions. I hope that it did kind of help you when it comes to planning your Disneyland holiday. I've actually really enjoyed answering these questions. I might actually go and do some more questions over on my Instagram. So again, make sure you follow me over on Instagram if you would like me to go and answer some more Disneyland related questions. But thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then make sure you're giving it a thumbs up. If you have any other questions, please do go and just put them in the comments below, or send me a message over on Instagram, because I am always happy to help. Like, at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I want to use my knowledge to go and help you have the best Disneyland holiday that you possibly can have. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys real soon. Bye guys.